Well, guess who has just returned from a 1-week suspension? Now the game is truly back on again. Qualifying currently underway then, here in what is a European flair then, to round 6 of this, the Synology GT3 Championship, streaming live on iRacing Live, brought to you by Racebot TV from the circuit of Zolder. Next. Well, isn't this going to be a nice fitting way then to finish the first part then of the season? A 2-week break will follow after this race here in your Synology GT3 Championship, but qualifying and currently underway, about just under 7 minutes then to get your lap times in and scored. Otherwise, that will be all she wrote for it. Welcome here on iRacing Live and brought to you by Racebot TV to this, the Synology GT3 Championship, brought to you by TMS Motorsport. TMS Motorsport offers a comprehensive range of tuning parts for all makes and models with competitive pricing, worldwide delivery and great customer service. Visit them today at tmsmotorsport.co.uk. Jake Sperry here in the commentary box with Connery Maddock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Connery, the main players have already set their lap times in. The last of the few drivers still have a couple of laps to go. The likes of Adam A. Atherton, 4th in the championship right now on his consistency factor, but he only finds himself right now down in P26 out of 46 cars competing, 47 even, competing here today. A very tight track. 2 wide is probably the best you can go at most places.
Yeah, and everything is going to be perhaps very, very congested. We had about 47 GT3 cars out on track here today. Aeronom back at the top of the timing boards, 0.3 of a second faster than Benjamin Hackerson, and so, well, he's back on form basically.
Yeah, he certainly is. Irunon then back here in the series. A 1 week suspension for some misdemeanors that he said after the race even, let's say, at Road America. But back here right now, let's go on board then with Adam A. Atherton right now. Heading through Tullayman here, this turn 7 complex. Right, left, right, and then another right-hander to open yourself up then as you continue on this charge now. Heading towards this turn number 8 corner. This is Boulderberg. This is a prime overtaking opportunity. Dive it down to just 42 miles an hour. Get on the power and make sure that you don't make a mistake here. Very easy to happen here as he's just come through the Yock and Rinch chicane, and now here comes the final chicane. This is Jackie X then. Into the left he comes along. Into the right he will try. He will have a lap after this one, Connery. Let's see if he's made any inroads so far on this lap time right now. Comes to the line and he does himself a 28.5. He gets himself inside the top 20.
Yep, he'll get one more opportunity to improve on that last lap time this time. By they get 4 timed laps of qualifying in this series as he just heads his way through turn 3, the Kanalbocht. Coming up to turn 4, this is going to be apologize for the pronunciation, Lucien Bianchibot, which is turn 4. I'm just going to call it turn 4 from now on, as he heads his way out there down this little bit of a back straight, heading towards Kleiner.
Yes, he is looking to try and get to the Klein chicane there, of course. Yeah, it's a very difficult left-right. You can see the curves there on the inside. Really discouraging for you. If you get yourself up and over them, it means that the car has its tendency then to get itself a little bit airborne. And that's what you can't afford to do then in a car like this. Again, back into Tullayman, looking to try and narrow out the corners as much as he can, get on the power. Currently, pole position is 0.3 clear. That's Irunom then, who is out and away in the 041 as he has been all season long. Ben Hackerson there in second. Tony Baird currently in third. The leader of the championship is Barry Baird right now. He's only qualified the car in P number 13 as things stand right now. And also, it is very important to see then Adam Atherton dive down into pit road. He's going to say that's just about it for him. Jason Withrow's got one more lap to do, and that's the only other driver then who is out on a lap. Maybe Ben Hackerson as well here, Connery, here, as we're going to take a look at your championship right now, and it is Barry Baird who leads it.
Yes, it is, and that is just mostly because Aeronom has had that 1 race suspension, and remember, these drivers have 4 drop weeks to make use of, so Aeronom basically is forced to make use 1 drop week due to his 1 race suspension, and also some of the other drivers did not turn up last week due to it being Valentine's Day, so apparently some race car drivers have girlfriends, boyfriends.
Well, unbelievable as that may seem, we still have some times to go. Just 2.5 minutes then as the driver standings look. Team standings as well. That's also a very interesting game to be playing as well, as Replace Base leads the drivers standings. Well, the team standings will have a completely different look at it because Bodine Solutions currently holds that championship as things stand, 511 points to the 480 of Replace Base in second position. So still all to play for. Last lap then for Jason Withrow, running a little bit wide at turn number 1. That's first bend. Now into Observatory. Turn number 2, and again misses the apex there. Struggling, you can see the curves on the outside left hand as he heads into Canal. And then Lucien Bianchi, of course. Lucien Bianchi, the uncle of the late Jules Bianchi then, who tragically lost his life at Suzuka a couple of years ago. Withrow now heading through this section here, Connery, and this lap has been scruffy for him. He's not looked the best here at all. He's 44th as things stand right now. 1:30.5 his best time right now. That's about 3.3 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, it is. We'll have to see if he can improve during this lap, but as you said, it has been relatively scruffy thus far as he heads his way through the Turn 7 complex. There's about 5 corners named Turn 7 right here, the Tillmanbach section we should call it. He heads down towards Boulderberg, I believe this corner will be. Again, he has to get this, every apex has to be absolutely perfect if he wants to improve his time here. He has a lot of room for improvement, as you say, about 3 and a bit seconds, and the only way is up from 44th position right now, but let's see what he can do.
Yeah, heading into Jackie X, then Jason Withrow needs to find something more. Remember, the time to beat then for his own lap time is a 1:30.5. We'll see if he does this. He will make the drive to the line, and he'll get himself then a 29.7. That's a lot better, but it only jumps him up to P at number 40 overall. Everyone else is pretty much done. Let's run through then your grid here at Zolder. Well, no surprises then. Bushfink on the front of the grid. It's Irunom in that 041 machine. 127.298. Fastest man by 0.3 of a second. Benjamin Haxton then will start in second. Tony Baird then will start on the second row along with Craig Parks. Row 3 sees Phil Rose and Craig Williams. APW Ringwood there in 7th position with Dion Phillips in 8th. Bran Reiners will start 9th with Jason Dilworth 10th. Neil Bamber, 3rd in the championship, starts 11th with Daniel Page 12th, and the championship leader Barry Baird there in 13th position with it all to do. Bart Daleman then will line up alongside him on row 7. Row 8 sees J.J. Rimmer there with Paul Walmsley. Gareth Mesham, pole sitter last time out, can only manage P17. Adam Shipstone then in 18th with Adam A. Atton and Philip Gregory rounding out row 10. Now you got the likes of John Cook, Alan McCain, Phil Bedford there in 23rd with Mike Mason alongside, Martin Gellenke there in 25th with Lee Bunker, Andrew Tobat and Ben Warren then follows with Paul Martin, Ryan Atmore, Soren Cruz surprisingly down the order, maybe the McLaren being a little bit of a hindrance then here this evening. We normally see him up in and around the top 15, down in 31st. Teach Van Delden then in 32nd. A nice return for Jan Mletzver after his race suspension there in 33rd. Chris Butterill there in 34th with the gentleman John Roberts there in 35th. Raul Huben rounds out row 18 with Simon Jackson, Ben Coobs, Robbie Tare, Jason Withrow there as we saw earlier on, Danny Thomas, Ryan Walker, Jonathan Beresford, Anthony Marsh, Martin Brandon, Daniel Bailey and Rick Fowler rounds out 47 cars. Rolling start then, we're going to get ourselves one lap before we get ourselves going towards green. Connery, the circuit's too wide at best. It's going to be so difficult with lap traffic to deal with, and what it will also be difficult with is finding that overtake. Drivers will become more likely impatient, and because they may become impatient, if there is an incident, it makes it that much more difficult to avoid it if an accident should so occur.
Yeah, definitely. The first couple of corners here aren't that bad in terms of too wide racing. So off the start, we'll probably see it being very, very clean. But coming down into the Kleiner chicane off turn 5, there's going to be a heavy braking zone. It's a very tight chicane, and if they aren't single file by then it could cause trouble.
Yeah, it certainly could, and especially when you are talking about Zolder. Zolder is one of those circuits which is underrated in my opinion. It was a former Formula 1 circuit. It's now pretty much works very well in terms of GT3, in terms of, say, your likes of your lower formulas. It is one of those circuits which, in terms of developing a driver, it does really well. It's also really, really key here, Connery, with cars which are very good with acceleration. You never hit more than 145 miles an hour without any form of draft at all, and that is very key for drivers in a Ford GT like Irunom is, or drivers in a BMW. They find themselves with that advantage, and that may play its role here when it comes to making those overtakes.
Yeah, drivers with those cars may find themselves in a little bit of a better spot at this track compared to some of the other ones. As you say, that acceleration is so important coming out of the each of the 3 chicanes that we have here at Zolder, as they're just making their way through Canalbocht right now on the pace. I will be having a full pace lap here at Zolder. It doesn't, the iRacing system doesn't start you part way around the track like it does at some other circuits, so we'll be talking here for a while, Jay.
Yeah, we certainly will here as they make this run down turn number 4, looking towards the Klein chicane. Of course, the prime overtaking opportunity here, the number 1 place if you want to make a move, mainly because it is the longest straight on the circuit. Would you believe it? You can see the red markers on the right-hand side of the circuit. Left-hand side, you probably see, means that there is the braking zone as you head into this single file. One line will suit all corner. Now, I think it's very key, as you can see, Irunom here almost tries to overtake that pace car. He is that impatient to get himself off and going. He gets himself there just to check up a little bit here, and now Nerve starting to play. Boot is that little left-hander here, up the hill and then back down it here, as then you head into Tulane, and this can be your hero or your nemesis here, Connery. Not much longer to go. Drivers now starting to feel the nerves.
Yeah, but he's just saw the cameras coming through the chicanes right there. They're going single file through there under the pace car, under pace speed. Imagine what it'd be like trying to go through there too wide at racing speed.
Yeah, it's going to be a big issue, and what another issue will be here is because they're getting closer and closer to that start, it means they're going to be less and less likely further back they go to actually be in position to be right behind the man they need. You can see the gaps already forming as Irunom then is all over the back of the pace car at times, and now Ben Haxton needs to get back up then to the side as quickly as he can if he wants the best start. Remember, inside line here, the drivers with the odd numbers have the advantage coming out of the final corner. Remember, pit lane is so difficult as well. It's straight on, and it means that there could be problems here in this 1 hour event. Pace car then will drop itself onto the lane. Nom will have the inside. Running the outer line then is going to be Ben Hackerson, the reigning champion. We're going to wait for the green flag. There it is. 1 hour on the clock. Let's get ourselves underway. Nom gets a good start here. Hackerson will have to fall into line then as they head to the first corner. Turn at number 1 on circuit. Nothing going to happen. Little look though from row 2 there. Craig Parks trying to get down the inside. Not going to happen here. For the moment, it all stays clean for the moment. Into turn number 2. Nothing going to happen then just for the time being. And in your mid-pack and further afield, it seems that everything is clean right now, Connery.
Yeah, most of the front of the field are just settling down and getting into single file as they come into turn 3. Coming out of that corner now. Again, look all down your field. It's all pretty much single file. They know what's coming. The very, very tight line of chicane. There's actually a move at the front of the field. That's 54 of GPW Ringwood. Has a little bit of a look coming down into the chicane, but not really that many problems. As we see 3 wide coming through Kleiner right there. That was with the 31 and others. So some drivers are trying it, but not really making it successful.
No, they're certainly not. Someone who did make it successful was Craig Parks. Down on the brakes then into Tilleyman. Mesham under threat, then Rimmer trying to go around the outside. Rimmer's not going to have any of it in a TTLR car then, trying to get himself into position. Now Mesham attacks Bart Daleman then here as they come out of Tilleyman. Has to check up, and there goes 1 position, 2 position. There goes 3 on the run into Boulderberg corner then. Side by side, they're going to go down onto the brakes, and you just can't seem to get away here as Daleman now dealing with the driver of what is, I believe, John Cook. Captain Cook remaining side by side for the moment. Out in front though, there's one driver trying to break away. Irunom has got that first lap down underneath his belt. The gap at the moment here, Connery, is half a second as things stand.
Yep, as we see the number 52 of John Cook make his way through on Bart Daleman in the number 31. Adam Shipstone may be smelling blood here as well as they come across the line to complete the first lap in the number 57. Heading down into turn 1 as we see the car ahead of him just push wide. That was Bart Daleman, manages to recover it though. But some interesting fighting going on in the first few laps here, Jake.
Yeah, there certainly is right now. Talk about Neil Bamber, 3rd in the championship. He's got the championship leader just behind him, as well as the driver of Paul Wormsley, who is doing very well in the championship right now. And if I'm correct, that's 2 teammates then going at it. Wormsley then down in. Side goes Barry Baird, and thank you very much, he says. That's pretty much simple, but he gets checked up then on the chicane, and now they're costing each other time. Now you can see here Barry Baird having to go defensive then through Butte as they head to Tilleyman. Very wisely backed out of it there did Paul Wormsley, and there's a little bit of lack of miscommunication then you could say right now there, Connery, because 2 teammates then battling it out. They've dropped themselves at least a second to Neil Bamber ahead, and it's so detriment for the time they've got right now.
Yeah, Barry Baird trying to recover from what was a relatively poor qualifying time for Barry Baird. He qualified in 13th. Usually we see him a little bit further up than that, so not an ideal qualifying session. He's trying to make up for it in the race, but battling with your teammate isn't really a good way to do that as they head through the final chicane right now. Not really all that many incidents to report so far as we have a challenge for P2. That was Benjamin Haxton at 001. Craig Parks all over the back of him. He'll look towards the outside of this right-hander here, but no, he manages to back out of it. Will he get the cut back though? He's all over the back of him, Jake.
Yeah, he certainly is. Out of Observatory, now out to Canal, now looking to Lucian Bianchi, can't make the move down the inside. Parks will prefer to set it up, then heading to the Clyde chicane. You can see a little bit of gravel then coming up, then kicking up off the tyres, and Parks now tucked right underneath, looks to the inside then, but Hackerson brakes just as late and says, no, you're not going to get it like that. They've opened the door though, and Nom can break away. It's over a second already here to your race leader, and he will be very fortunate in that fact that he hasn't really been troubled from the cars behind him right now. Baird, Tony Baird that is, the brother, the identical twin even, of Barry Baird then sitting in 4th position. Of course, missed the race last time out. And don't forget this battle for 5th position here going on, Connery. You've got Craig Williams there and also Phil Rose there in the 029 machine. Rose wanting to make amends for Sebring last week and doing a very good job about it then as he looks to try and hold off Williams behind.
Yeah, but it really did have a terrible race at Sebring as they head their way down to the final chicane. Yeah, again, it's a relatively quick lap here at Zolder, around about 1 minute 27 seconds if you're right at the top of the field as they head their way out of this final chicane right now. Again, as I said before, not really all that many incidents to report. I believe that may have been down to it being a rolling start into the usual standing start that we have here in the series.
Yeah, and I have to say a very commendable decision as JPW Ringwood runs very wide at turn number 1. This might allow Dion Phillips then in the 043 machine to start trying to come back into this one then. As you can see, runs himself through turn number 3 here. That is Canal. You can see the Canal on the left-hand side then is just behind that retaining wall then as they head into turn number 4 then. That is Lucian Bianchi. You can see here the trains start to form a little bit. It's so difficult to make a pass. Page then looking at the inside of Bram Reiners then here. Daniel Page in the 028 looks for the inside. Not going to happen then. Going to have to wait then at the very difficult Klein chicane. Looking for an opportunity. Difficult car spinning then. And that's Barry Baird, the championship leader. Turn around on the grass and we'll lose 5, 6, 7 positions in the space of one small mistake, Connery.
Yep, and that was a single car spin for the replace base driver. Replay up on your screen right now, and he just took a little bit too much of that secondary curb. Just sent the car into a spin towards the outside on the grass. No other drivers involved, but Barry Baird, I think he thinks he could have done better there.
I think he does as well, and that is going to be very crucial then when all is said and done. Back live then. We are here on Racebot TV and iRacing Live. You are watching the Synology GT3 Championship then in full effect. 1 hour, 1 pit stop then. Pit stop strategy here, Connery. We're looking at people to pit maybe a little bit later here. Maybe drivers having an ability to save fuel a lot more than other circuits here, because you have to remember, you're not using as much of the accelerator. You're not hitting the dizzying heights of 170 miles an hour plus. You're rarely hitting 150. So what you have to say is drivers could maybe go half an hour to 45 minutes on a tank of fuel around here.
Yeah, we could definitely be seeing some very, very late pit stops for the reasons you have just stated, but that pit road entry is also going to be tricky. If you're a car that wants to pit and you're right up close behind another car coming up to the braking zone, it's kind of like Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Vancouver, that sometimes you have to brake much, much later if you want to go to the pit lane, as you have another, Adamy Atherton right there, Jake.
Yeah, side by side, he goes down in, and there you can see Barry Baird now trying to take an advantage, and it's not happening because now Philip Gregory and Phil Bedford there as Bedford tries desperately to get himself then down the inside, and he tries it, he dives down the inside, and he goes all over the curbs and almost takes out the driver of Barry Baird there. Very lucky he got himself on the brakes and got it all stopped nice and cleanly there. You can see the gap. Maybe there was a little bit of a slowdown penalty there, but he just gets away with it. I have to fact check you again there, Connery. I don't believe it's Vancouver, but rather Montreal that you find Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, as now you can see here Gregory under attack from Gelenki. Gelenki can't get it quite for the moment.
No, he can't. The Synology AMG GT3 driver just running behind these guys right now. Philip Gregory, Phil Bedford still ahead of him. We may be seeing a battle developing ahead of them though between the 006. That is Barry Baird recovering after an early race spin. He's looking at the back of Adam A. Atherton in that Audi, and he's getting very, very close to maybe having a look at a pass coming down into the Klein chicane if he gets a good run out of turn 4.
Yeah, you can see running wide there is Atherton, and now in turn number 3 he'll go and get it, and thank you very much. Atherton had absolutely nothing there on that driver. There have been a lot more battles going on right now. Dion Phillips now has Phil Rose to deal with. Ringwood's through, so is Williams then on Rose right now. Phil Rose dropped a couple of positions, then started 5th, now down in 7th position. Phillips looking at Telemann, not going to happen then here on lap 6 of the event. Can't quite get it. Now you can see the train that's forming. Dilworth there, Page there, Reiners, Bamber, Wormsley, Mesham on the back of it as well. Rimmer trying to get onto the back of it in 15th position. This is a train of about 10-11 cars here, Connery, and this just epitomises just how difficult it is to overtake contact in the middle of your pack, and that will be the driver of what I believe to be Dion Phillips.
Yeah, and Jason Dilworth just over-optimistic on the brakes, went much, much deeper, just running into the back of the Audi driver of Dion Phillips, just spinning him right next to the apex of the corner, but again, no other cars collected. Just lost Dion Phillips a little bit of time.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate then in that situation as we head ourselves back to live once again. You can see this train continuing right now. I'm just looking at Bram Reiner's car here. I don't know whether he has a little bit of damage on that front nose or not there, Connor. I don't know whether it's something to look out for here a little bit or not, but you can see here, just trying to run in that slipstream is going to be so key. You actually lose a little bit less here if you've got a bit more damage then compared to other tracks. You can run in that slipstream a lot better. You're not using the full capabilities of the aerodynamic package, but you are using it in a different way. You're using it more to get down the inside. As you can see there, just ahead of them is the driver of what was Jason Dilworth, trying everything to get to Phil Rose. Had to back out of it, and now Daniel Page coming back into this one then. Here, this battle for 8th and 9th hotting up.
Yeah, so many drivers going very, very deep on the brakes indeed, and that was Daniel Page that time coming into that particular chicane, almost running into the back of Jason Dilworth, and it seems that Jason Dilworth has already had someone ran into the back of him. His rear end is all torn up right there as they head down into Boulderberg, and there's Bram Reiners around on the outside of the corner. Wow, he must have misjudged his braking point by a massive margin.
And that is so fortunate that he's managed to avoid the back there. Replay on screen, and he'll beach himself in the gravel and get himself going once again. And well, as we try and head this one back to live after the incident, he's now behind Bart Daleman, so he has dropped a lot of time in this one. Mesham now under threat then from Dion Phillips. Will look to the inside at turn number 1. I think he's too far back, and he knows, so it's just a warning shot for the moment. Just a warning shot for Dion Phillips as he looks to try and make his recovery then through the field. Still got Page there looking to try and look at the driver then of Dilworth just ahead of him, looking for that battle to intensify. If you want to know what's going on with your race lead right now, that one has opened out here for the front 5 cars as things stand. That gap is now 2 seconds between Nom and Haxton as things stand. Page now taking a little bit of a look then from the inside, but Dilworth using the slipstream from Rose then heading to Clyde. Nothing is going to happen there, but you can see he's just so much slower through the mid part of the corner. It checks everything up, and now Page maybe an opportunity to Lehman here, Connery.
Yeah, as they head their way through Boots, coming down into turn number 7 as Jason Dilworth again, very, very late on the brakes, just taps the back of the Audi of Phil Rose right there. He can't be afforded to be doing that too often. It could cause an absolutely massive incident if he gets it all wrong, but no harm done just yet, but he has to cut that out.
No, he certainly does have to cut it out, and now he looks to the inside and he can't quite get it, and now he cuts his line up, but he's done well here because he has slowed up the driver behind of what is Daniel Page. Now Bamber back into the fight. Paul Walmsley then making some great inroads. Mesham there. Rimmer now has looked to have got through then on Dion Phillips. Phillips looking to the inside. Not going to happen there as JJ Rimmer has certainly done a very good job of things right now. The number 55 machine from Club UK and Ireland then going through side by side. They're going to go. Walmsley has Bamber down the inside. So was that driver then of Dilworth trying another move. Not going to happen here, and they're costing each other time here now, Connery. A mistake from Irunom as well as things stand. That gap back down again to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, this has been absolutely fierce fighting in the bottom end of your top 10 as we have a car off. That was actually a lapped car. That's Daniel Bailey in number 22 having some major problems as the field streams by them. Looking back at this battle between the 3 and the 29, there goes Jason Dilworth down the inside of Klein Chicane, and oh, it's an absolutely humongous incident on the exit.
And he's rolled it up and over, and he's into the barrier there, and a big accident then from Jason Dilworth down at the Klein Chicane. Replay of that one then. Let's get on up on screen because he got the move sorted. Then the cutback tried to come, and there was contact between Rose there, who was trying to cut it as finely as he could. Too finely there, in my opinion, Connery, and that just caused the car of Dilworth to turn around, and that's where the incident has occurred.
Yeah, you could say that was a rather optimistic move coming down into turn 5 for Jason Dilworth. He didn't really have all that much space to work with, and if you look at the entry to the corner, that angle is almost impossible to try and get around. He did manage to make around most of it, but again, the driver Phil Rose behind was just too close, just tapped him round, and he went for a barrel roll.
Yeah, and that is the big problem now. As you can see, this train looking to grow and grow and grow even more then here. As you look at Dion Phillips again, looking at the back of JJ Rimmer into turn number 1, and again, not going to be able to do it. They're down onto the brakes into the first corner as they head for Observatory turn number 2 right now. You can see here, John Cook now on the back, Bart Delman, Bram Reiner's back again, and now Barry Baird on the back of this train. You can see just how much this train has brought itself back in together. The difference between 7th when they crossed the line and 17th was only, and I say this very, very lightly, only 5 seconds. 5 seconds between 10 cars. That's about half a second difference between every single car then in this field right now. Cook, Captain Cook to the inside of Rose, but that won't happen then as he tries very desperately to get down the inside. Not going to happen here, but what they are doing is they're allowing everyone ahead here to break away, Connery.
Yeah, this is very, very close racing.
Whoa! Just see the car around. That's Adam Atherton, and there's a car in the wall as well in avoidance. So Adam Atherton, a self-spin then. He was out on his merry lonesome, and now that driver there in the 049 finally gets himself together. Replay on screen. Connery, a big one.
Yep, and that was also Adam Shipstone also into the wall trying to avoid that one. He picked the wrong direction and had to go into the grass, and very heavy impact with the wall. I'm surprised that didn't collect even more drivers than it did. The drivers being very, very courteous, just holding the brakes on the side of the road, making sure that no one else gets collected. So fantastic heads up driving there, but that spin shouldn't really have happened in the first place if you ask Adam.
Yeah, you have to say that incidents are a factor, and it's about who can stay the cleanest, the consistent, and make the least mistakes like that. That is going to be the key factor here. And also, I want to point note out a pit exit as Jason Dilworth actually leaves pit exit right now. It's different. It leads right onto the racing line then for turn number 2, and that's going to be difficult to deal with. Bran Reiners then all over the back of Bart Delman here in this battle for what is 15th position then currently on the road. You can see just runs a little bit wider there as Bart Delman then trying to maximize the track as much as he possibly can. Looking again towards the inside there is the driver of Delman. Delman's not going to get it sorted down in there, and there's also a Barry Baird there who's got to be patient here. He can't just pick and choose. Well, he has to pick and choose his moments even here, Connery. He's got to do it one at a time, because we've seen if you try and take multiple out of it, the circuit bites you back and says there's a massive incident awaiting.
Yeah, Barry Baird hasn't really had a great start to this race, as is he's down 4 spots on his qualifying time, so there's still a lot of work to do. It says, oh, there's a massive wreck ahead of them. They all have to check up, and the track was almost completely blocked there, but your drivers were good enough to file their way through that. That could have been very, very scary and could have escalated very quickly.
Replay on screen, lap traffic then, that's Rick Fowler getting involved with JJ Rimmer then, and that incident has completely shaken up this pack then, and that is going to be something that everyone didn't want to be a part of, that they didn't want to see, and that is something that you can't afford. Lap traffic, we said it was going to be difficult here, Connery, and there was the prime example of lap traffic getting in the way. Phil Rose trying to drag his wounded vehicle back to home. He can't do it, he'll have to take a tow.
Yeah, I don't think there's a panel that isn't damaged on that Audi right now, so that's basically undrivable. I believe he will have to take a tow, and yes, he actually has done so, but a very big wreck right there coming down now, Buttes. But looking at the front though, Aero Nom currently has an advantage of 2.3 seconds over Benjamin Hackton. And now this isn't as big of a margin as we have seen at this stage in the race in any of the other races this season, apart from Bathurst and Sebring.
Yeah, and what we need to understand about this is, although this isn't a massive gap at the moment from Aero Nom right now, after a quarter of an hour's worth of racing, 1/4's distance, already scored complete right now, what you have to remember is it's so much more difficult to actually make that breakaway. You have to remember the lap traffic coming thicker and in more droves right now. Remember, this track is only 2.5 miles long as we look at the 31 and the 35. Bart Delman then here, as he has that big look down the inside, or had that look down the inside. Bram Reiners was trying the big move, and Barry Baird waiting here. It's a circuit of only 2.5 miles. It's about as long as Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the oval course of that, and Reiners all over the back again. And what you have to remember is there's not much distance, but there is a lot of corners here. It's a big wiggle coming out there from Reiners. Means that Baird now has a big opportunity to turn one, Connery. Side by side, let's go.
Yeah, it looks like he'll have to try around the outside, but no, he just backs out of that move, does Barry Baird. Will he get the run off of the corner this time? There's a car just coming out of pit road that may be a factor in terms of lapped traffic as they just file their way in through the first sector. That lapped car was, of course, the driver of Rick Fowler as he just pulls off the side of the track right there, just letting the rest of your field go through. But here's Barry Baird. He's all over the back of Bram Marinas, gets a very good run coming out of that corner. Oh, is it a little bit of a tap right there, a little bit of bumping and banging like touring cars as he'll make his way down the inside of Kleiner Chicane. Will he get the move done? Yes, he will get the move done.
Touring cars on steroids then. Barry Baird gets the move sorted, and he did very, very well then, and that was showing how Jason Dilworth needs to make the move. He's lost time though to Bart Delman ahead and John Cook holding up the field just ahead of all of that one right now, as we see just moving forward. The gaps have opened up in that group just ahead of them, the likes of your Daniel Pages, your Neil Bambers, your Paul Walmsleys. That has all opened up to about a second between everyone then in this race right now. And what is being key is we are seeing those drivers who have had incidents so far drop themselves onto lane. Adam Shipstone then dropping himself then down onto pit road as things stand. And something I just want to pay attention here to a little bit, Connery, right now is this battle for second and third right now. Ben Hackerson and Craig Parks, the number 1 and the number 2, both of the same team, both looking to become the number 1 driver in that team. And something to note is that gap is 1.3 seconds here. If there is any sort of form of, say, a driver is getting close, is there in that gap, maybe it might come down to strategy and who is the best on the lane. I might have got my teams wrong. I don't just quite know.
Yeah, I believe if I have the updated paint pack right here, there's Craig Parks in the TMS Motorsport car and Benjamin Haxon in the Synology AMG Mercedes right there. So these guys also have the team's championship to consider, as well as the drivers' championship in this fight. But yeah, as you say, there's not really all that much between them. Last time by, Benjamin Haxon was faster by around about a tenth of a second. We'll have to see if that changes as they come down into the final chicane. The start-finish line will be just after this one, as we can check. But you've seen something, Dick.
Yes, I have. It's Barry Baird looking for the move then on the driver of Bart Delman. He tried it down the inside at Telemann, and now he'll try at Boulderberg. Here, down onto the brakes, into the hairpin. Side by side they'll go, but he won't have the run out of the exit. But running wide there was Delman, and now that's going to allow the driver, also Bran Reimers, then to try and get through. Side by side, let's go to Jackie Hicks, and he's trying to find a bit of room for himself. And now Reimers tries to go down the inside. Very open. Oh, there's contact, and there we see it. Barry Baird turned around as Dilworth tried to get back down onto the lane, and Baird must be furious.
He absolutely must be, and that was the kind of incident I was talking about at the top of this broadcast. One driver wanting to come down pit road, one driver wanting to take the chicane as per normal, and that is exactly what you have seen right there with Barry Baird. He hasn't really had the best of days.
No, he hasn't, and that is just a testament to the qualifying effort that he puts in. He needed to get himself a little bit further up the field to avoid incidents like this, and in the end it's just not happened to him. It's just not been what he has wanted. There is still battles going on then through the field. What about Paul Walmsley, Gareth Mesham, Dion Phillips then? This battle going on right now, but also keep your eye then on the 017 machine here. It's a McLaren, it's Soren Cruz. Cruz has lost contact with Mike Mason. They were side by side as they came across the start. Well, actually, it was 1 second back, so Mason looks at Lee Bunker just ahead of him then in this battle for 19th and 20th right now here, Connery. But, you know, these drivers have stayed out of trouble and made their gains where they have done. Both of these drivers then have made themselves at least 4 or 5 positions so far this race.
Yeah, in fact, that McLaren driver of Soren Cruz is actually one of your biggest movers and shakers. He's up 10 spots from his qualifying position. He qualified 31st. He's in 21st, net gain of 10 positions. He is running very, very well indeed as the battle ahead of him gets closer and closer. Mike Mason maybe having a look for a move, maybe coming out of Boulderberg. He takes a little bit of a wider line than Lee Bunker. Lee Bunker actually gets a much better exit right there, so not this lap, Mike Mason.
Not this lap, Mike Mason. We've just hit about 22, 23 minutes. Now we can start thinking about maybe the pit stop strategy starting to be implemented. People who may have tried to short filled the tank early to run that big, heavy tank towards the end, looking to try and make advantage then of maybe some clean air, looking to try and find it. Maybe it will work for them. Other drivers maybe trying to run that full tank, maybe trying to drain it to empty as much as they can to lower their time down on pit lane in terms of filling up the car and then using that advantage they built on those on that run, that original run they've had, maybe might become very, very useful come towards the end as Barry Bear goes spread eagle across the Klein chicane, and he's done very well to hold that instant, but he will have a slowdown there for his troubles. Barry Bear is on tilt, Connery.
Yeah, he definitely will have a slowdown penalty because of that given by the automated iRacing system. He'll have to give up quite a bit of time for that one. Let's have a look at the speedo for this one. He went about 100 miles an hour across that chicane right there, so that's going to be a very, very hefty slowdown penalty there.
Yeah, it certainly is. You have to remember, you factor in about 30% for a slowdown penalty of the speed. So if you cut the corner then at, say, let's do some maths, 35 miles an hour or under, you wouldn't get the slowdown penalty for it just because you were going so slow over the top of it. But running at 100 miles an hour, you have to say maybe 2-3 seconds might be the instant that's going in. The 30 and the 43 then have both come in. That's Gareth Mesham then, early stop.
Sorry, Jake. Sorry, Jake. Gareth Mesham had an incident coming down onto pit road. Oh no, my. We should get a replay of this one. That was Dion Phillips running right into the back of Gareth Mesham. I don't know if Dion Phillips wanted to come down pit road that time, but we'll definitely have to this time and perhaps force Gareth Mesham to come in with him.
Oh, that's a horrible, horrible incident there. You can see he came from 1.5 miles back, and then Gareth Mesham trying to get himself into the corner then, in the end, has to say, you know what, pit road is where I'm going to have to stay, and he has to make the early call. You can see he's actually testing out his steering to see if there's any sort of damage there in terms of the steering wheel itself. Gets himself going again, so he thinks that there's no damage on that car. That's all right for him then as he tries and gets himself back going again. Battle continues though here for your lower half of your top 20. Mike Mason, Lee Bunker is there. Got the likes of Soren Kroos then looking at this battle right now. Keep your eye out though on the battle for second. There has been a change. Craig Parks is through on the driver there of Ben Hackerson. Hackerson now has to stay with him now in this battle for the podium here, Connery, right now, because Ben isn't anywhere right now. So Hackerson, he's just got to attack. Maybe strategy now has to be his port of call.
Yep, as we are coming up to around about halfway mark, we still have about 34 minutes and 24 seconds of this hour-long race. I kind of want to go back to that incident with Gareth Mesham, though, because, as we see, Benjamin Haxon almost get the Klein chicane all wrong right there. But back to that number 30 car, though. That incident actually wasn't really as bad as it first appeared. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but these drivers do get one fast repair in this series, and having an incident just before pit lane like that, it's much better than having it midway through the lap.
Yeah, I have to agree with you with that. If you're having it at pit road, on pit entry, then you know that you can get it down in very quickly. If you have the incident, say, coming into turn one, you have to wait an eternity then to get yourself back into the situation of trying to make everything work in terms of your favour. That is something that needs to be remembered here in this one, as we're going to continue to look then at this battle for 17th and 18th position. Well, 16th, 17th and 18th. Lee Bunker there, Mike Mason just can't quite get close enough here, Connery, right now. As you can see, into the Klein chicane, not going to happen there. 18th lap of the event. Remember, it was only 30 laps that we ran at the circuit of Sebring last week here 1 week ago, and now you're looking at this race thinking, you know what, we could easily be running 40, 45, potentially, maybe even looking at that sort of 50 mark barrier potentially right now, as Mason still can't quite get onto the back.
No, he can't, despite the best efforts of that Grip TV Audi, as he has a little bit of a look down into Boulderberg. Not going to make it. Bram Reiniers is going to head his way down pit road for one of the first top 10 competitors to pit during this one. The pit window is well and truly open, as there's another pitter right behind him. I'll try and get the name of that one. That is actually Phil Bedford heading down pit road.
Yeah, Phil Bedford then looking to come down onto the lane, and maybe people thinking that early is the best way forward. Reiners is there on the lane as well. He pulls himself then into his pit box there from 13th position provisionally, where he was when he came down into the lane. No tyres, you can see, going on the car. The tyres can very easily last an hour, sometimes two, as we've seen in the Blank Pan GT series, which will be kicking itself back off again for another fantastic season. Reiners gets himself away then out of pit road right now. Bedford will follow then, and Bunker looking to wait as well and try and get himself through. Beresford then also gets himself on the lane. Pit stop window then here, Connery, well and truly open.
Yes, it really is, as the gap at the front is up to around about 5.5 seconds. So Craig Parks, is just losing Aeronom just a little bit here. That's also due to his fighting with Benjamin Haxon, but Aeronom doesn't actually have the fastest lap here. That actually does go to Craig Parks, albeit by a couple of hundredths of a second.
Well, you have to say a fastest lap does warrant a little bit of praise then going forward, and you know that he can work in it right now. You can see this battle going on here. You've got Brandon and Huben then going together. This is the battle for 32nd actually here out on circuit. Into the right they go along then with the Bodine Solutions car. They're just in front right now. As you can see, everything's still going on right now. The 35 though has been involved in a little bit of a spin, and that's Bram Reiners fresh out of pit road. So there we go there, Connery. Just a little lapse in concentration coming off the lane, and that is just enough to cost you so much here around this circuit.
Yep, and there's another one of those instances having an issue with the second part of the Klein chicane, just going curb hopping right there. It's almost a mirror incident to, I believe it was Gareth Meshman or Barry Baird earlier on in the race, had almost a mirror incident to that one.
Yeah, certainly did, and you can't afford to have any form of issue here, especially when you are dealing with things like this. Talk about second place then. Ben Hackerson now is right back onto the back then of the driver of Craig Parks right now as they continue forward then in this battle for second position right now. But they have 3 cars a lap traffic here that they don't really want to be dealing with right now. Martin Gelinke comes out of pit road right now, but Parks heading through turn number 2. He's got to get past Reiners, who's just out of spin. Got to get past Phillips, who is been a little bit in the wars as well, and also Dilworth. So all 3 drivers then here who were in that middle of the pack all had issues at some stage during this race. Now Parks and Hackerson have got to sift through, and I have a feeling here, Connery, that Ben Hackerson might follow through like say Max Verstappen would right now here from the 2015 Monaco Grand Prix as he runs wide, takes himself over the chicane, and battle disappear. Thank you very much. Magic trick, just like that.
Yep, a lot of the drivers that have actually been having issues coming down into the braking zone of that Kleiner chicane. As Craig Parks, he has an absolutely huge bunch of traffic ahead of him. He does get held up by Rangers right there. He may have to be considering pitting at this stage in the race. If he can't clear this traffic by the end of the lap, he might want to do that just to avoid it, and perhaps put Benjamin Hackerson into a tricky situation if he doesn't realise it soon enough.
Yeah, that seems to be the key factor here. He might be looking at it. He's got past one now. He's got Phillips and Dilworth then. He's trying to get through it, and also a car in front of that as well. He doesn't decide to go down into lane. He's got Jan Mletova there as well, just ahead as that. And now it's just a case of trying to find that bit of key gap. He did have a little bit of a gap to work with. Just seen something very, very interesting from Ben Coombs. He has been disqualified from the race for reversing too far down pit road, and he missed his box, went too far, couldn't find his man. And Connery, that's a very, very weird incident. Yeah,
very, very strange incident indeed. Disqualified for reversing too far down pit road. 42 is in the pits. That is the car of Craig A. Williams, and number 28 also down on pit road. Daniel Page, Paul Wormsley also hitting the lane as well. So this is basically going to be your, second round of pit stops. It's not the second stop they're doing, but it's second group of drivers to hit pit road.
Yeah, it certainly is right now. Watch out for Tony Baird. He's already made a stop in the 004. He heads himself to Jackie Hicks then, and that's going to be the key marker then for Craig Williams then as he looks to try and get out ahead of Tony Baird. I don't think it will happen though. I think he was too far away as he now gets himself past the start-finish line. Where is that driver then? And the answer is just coming out now, and you can see just how far extended it is coming out of pit road. You can run double Armco left and right of you, and only now does he get himself onto the lane and onto the track even, and by my reckoning, behind Soren Cruz, behind Mike Mason, behind Tony Bennett, that's about 5 seconds difference there, Connery, and that is just how difficult it is coming out of pit road.
Leader down onto pit road right now. Aeronom deciding that this is a good time to pit. Does Craig Parks head down pit road? No, there he goes down the pit straight, just dealing with a little bit of lap traffic. Who else is going to come down pit road? I don't see anyone else but Aeronom right now, so he's all alone.
Aeronom then will look to try and get the perfect stop, and he will wait for the final box. Then you can see he now pulls into the right and looks to try and find it, hit it perfectly. He'll have the best way of getting out of pit road then, and he hits it like a T then as he looks to get a top up on his fuel, maybe a little bit of wipe on the windshield as he looks to try and get himself away. It'll be interesting to see if he's got any lap traffic to deal with. That might be the key. That might hold him up by a couple of seconds. Bring Parks and Hackerson then back into play. He gets himself out and away then here. A good stop then from Irunom then as he looks to try and aggressively attack then this pit exit then as he looks to get back out on circuit. Is he in clean traffic? Well, the car ahead of him who just pitted is there, Ryan Atmoy. I'll have to negotiate him. Aside from that, not too much. That's the big advantage then, Connery, that he will have right now as you look further back, well, further front even, you could say, to your race leaders right now. Parks and Hackerson pretty much spread nose to tail right now. The gap about 4/10 half a second. Now it's a case of which one of these two plays chicken or tries to cover the move.
Yep, we also have to see which one of them comes down pit road this time by. Does Craig Parks come down pit road? Does Ben Hackerson come down pit road? The answer to both of those questions is a resounding no.
No, a resounding no it is, so they'll stay out another lap, so they are racing against each other, and maybe the race win is too far out of sight for them then, as they look to continue then on this train of thought, on this look, but battling on forward. The gap between them is only 4/10 of a second then, as they round turn number 1, turn number 2, Observatory Bend here. This right hand, you can see different contrasting lines there. You can see the corner was opened up from Parks coming in, and you can see that Benjamin Axon took a more shallower line to get himself back out and then going once again. That is a key feature then as we are looking towards 35 minutes now. Now we're looking towards maybe the end of a normal fuel cycle. Maybe you can do a little bit more right now if you find yourself in this decline chicane for Haxon. He's had a couple of issues here already today here, Connery, and you can see right now here just how they're trying to play this one. Everyone is trying to get the best lap times possible, and right now the drivers in the most clean air has to be your leading two right now.
Yep, as we see number 48 and the 17, they're heading their way down pit road. Mike Mason, Soren Cruz deciding now is a good time to pit. The cars that have stayed out currently are Craig Parks, Benjamin Haxon, JPW Ringwood, Bart Daleman, Paul S. Martin, Simon Jackson are the ones that, well, further up your field that have not pitted yet, but most of your field have made at least one trip coming down pit road. Does Craig Parks head down pit road this time? Yes, he does, followed by Benjamin Haxon. It's going to be battle of the pit crews.
Yes, and running a little bit wide there, trying to come in there was the driver of Craig Parks. He's taking liberties now, and he looks at that and thinks the gap is coming in. Now it's a race against time then, as they are stuck on the limiter. Very, very frustratingly, 37 miles an hour. It feels like such an eternity around here, especially when you're seeing them pass all these pit boxes. And now it's a case of trying to find it. You can see different contrasts of trying to find that pit man then. As you can see, they both move to the right-hand side. They both look for their man, and Haxon will stop second here. So now you know that the driver of Craig Parks will get himself out first. As you can see, that's not Craig Parks leaving the pit lane, but Simon Jackson instead then, who leaves the lane. So now it's a case of who could do it and where Iru Nom is going to be come the end of all of this right now. Answer for Nom is he's coming past turn number 1 right now. A race against time, side by side, coming out of pit road. Let's go. And Hackerson yields in the end. So that's a big little mistake then from Hackerson. Couldn't do enough on pit road, Connery, and now Parks has track position.
Yeah, indeed, as things will stay as they are in terms of that battle coming off of pit road. A couple of other drivers down onto pit road. JP Ringwood has actually made the stop. He's coming out of pit road. Bart Daleman down on pit road. Paul S. Martin as well. So the absolute vast majority of your cars have come down pit road. All of these times and positions are representative now.
Yes, they certainly are. Battle going on then for what is now 11th position out on circuit. Paul Wormsley and Gareth Mesham, the 12 and the 30, and Carr coming out of pit road as well to join in the action. Raul Huben lap down, has to get out of the way, does so on the a lot onto the curb then, and now the driver of also Martin Brandon will get himself by there very comfortably. Mesham now looking at this, thinking, you know, maybe I've got a chance here of a top 10 because the driver of Paul Martin has already come down onto the lane. It's Neil Bamboo's just ahead, so this is a fight then for the top 10 right now. And you have to say, both drivers haven't had the best of days. Wormsley stay quiet, Mesham stay quiet, but both of them have made some pretty good ground right now as they look to continue forward in the field.
Yep, they really have. Paul Wormsley currently in 9th place on track. Mesham in 10th place, so they've been running relatively well, especially Mesham after that early race incident. We saw him have contact with another car coming down onto pit road. Luckily, that was so near pit road that he could come down and get that fast repair relatively quickly, and he's back out there doing well inside top 10.
Yeah, he certainly is right now. I also want to pay attention for this battle in for the top 20. Soren Cruz under threat then from Bram Reiners then. This is for position then as Reiners has dropped 11 and Soren Cruz has gained 12 right now. That's just how good his racing's been. Chris Butterill, also a shout out to him in the 015 machine. Has he come down onto the lane? He has that time by, so he does drop out then of 16th position overall in my opinion. But you can see here, everyone's starting to get into this one. Everyone looking then for that big moment, and you can see right now this battle, three-car train right now here with the driver and Mike Mason looking to try and get onto the back of it as well. Opens out a little bit, and that's where the McLaren comes into play here. But there's not much it can come into play around this circuit car, but it does have enough top grunt to get away then. But when it comes to corners, it just understeers, struggles, and it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like a dog on laminate, where it just tries to get the traction down, and goes absolutely nowhere.
A dog on laminate is kind of a weird mental image in my head, but I prefer to compare it to trying to wheel a tank around the race course. The McLaren, it's just so understeery. But one place where it is good at, as you say, is on these straights that they're currently on, actually coming down into the braking zone of Kleiner chicane right there. The McLaren can just stretch its legs over all of the other GT3 cars, but in the corners it just suffers so much that sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah, sometimes it isn't, and maybe there could be a case for a car switch then in the next few weeks if he doesn't feel happy then with the result that he is getting from this one. Another car then coming down onto lane. Jan Letzler then will look to try and get himself then down in for a pit stop. Maybe a little bit unscheduled here as timer starts ticking away then in this event right now. You can see everyone is looking.
Whoa, big incident there. Well, almost the potential for a big one. That was the number 13 car, Martin Galenki, just getting into a tangle with Soren Cruz coming into the, what was the final section of the lap right there. We'll have the replay on the screen right there. That was just Martin Galenki in that Synology AMG GT3, just running a little bit wide, just coming back onto the track and just collecting the McLaren of Soren Cruz. Soren Cruz, I think, knew he was tracking towards the right-hand side of the track when he saw Martin Galenki coming back on, but he didn't track out enough, and Galenki, you shouldn't really be rejoining the track like that.
No, he isn't. He's got damage and he's down on the lane, and that's a big issue then for him as we go back live. Then timer is expiring. Then he does get himself pitted, and now there's just under 20 minutes to go then in this event. The leader right now, Iru Nom. Who else would you expect here? He's been so dominant here as he heads into turn number 2. Almost had Lee Bunker up the back of him just then. Very lucky man. But he has a lead of 7.5 seconds over Craig Parks, who himself has now a 1.3 second lead over Ben Hackerson, the reigning champion there in 3rd position. Quiet drive from Tony Benn. He's there currently in 4th position. Something to note here, your top 4 have pretty much stayed inside the top 4 as things stand right now. Craig Williams, quiet drive. He's there in 5th position with JPW Ringwood there in 6th. And you can see the battle's going on here. Bamba here looking at it side by side. Brandon then under threat then from JJ Rimmer then as they come through. This is a battle for position. It is for 33rd, and down the inside will try JJ Rimmer, and you know what? He'll get the position. Thank you very much, but he tries to cut the man off then, heading to turn number 2. Can't quite happen for the moment. Brandon not having any of it right now, Connery.
Yeah, Brandon replying to that move as they have a little bit of a door tap and just sends JJ Rimmer into a massive slide right there. Well done to recover. That was a little bit of a touring car move right there, just using the door to shove the man out of the way. And I don't think JJ Rimmer's going to be very happy about it. There's also some blue flags will be shown right there for John, due to John Cook and Bart Daleman just coming through on these guys, just going to disrupt this battle just a little bit. But you can't really do much door banging in these GT3 cars.
No, you certainly can't, and that was the prime example. Very lucky he was self-righted again, and the middle of a battle here is not exactly what these guys wanted here in this battle for what is 11th and 12th. Bart Daleman, who's lost the position to Captain John Cook right now, who heads himself then around the final part of Tilleyman and gets himself now about 7/10 of a second as he goes down onto the brakes into the Boulderberg chicane right now. Nothing that can really happen there for the driver of Bart Daleman as he now gets stuck behind Martin Brandon, who will need to get out of the way as quickly as he possibly can, and it might just have to be here that he has to try and send the move. He does. Car does come down onto the lane. That is Chris Butterill again, And, well, I have to say, it's very unfortunate for him as he's been looking to try and get through. Paul Walmsley, though, also through on Gareth Mesham then in the battle for 9th position, Connery. So movers happening right now all throughout the field.
Yeah, moves happening on track as we just saw number 55 of JJ Rimmer just sling one down the inside of Martin Brandon during turn 1. That was a very, very textbook move. Nothing really Martin Brandon could have done as they head their way through turn 3 to turn 4. There's Dion Phillips. Blue flags will be shown to let him through, and again, just going to disrupt this battle yet again. Gap at the front though, that stands at around about 6.2 seconds and opening a little bit. The battle between Craig Parks and Benjamin Haxton still relatively close, almost a second between those two.
Almost a second right now, and well, that battle will continue to march on. And also this battle in the middle of the pack we will have to keep an eye out on, because it's two battles converging into one. You got Cook and Daleman there, and also now looking to try and make his way through is Dion Phillips to get onto the back then of the driver of Bart Daleman. And also there's Barry Baird looking to make the recovery, and behind that you got likes of Dilworth and Gregory in their own little scrap as well. So it's pretty much battles converging on battles here. Nobody wants to really be in the wrong here, be in the position of an incident potentially. Rimmer's going to have to get out of the way, and he'll do so then of the driver of Dion Phillips. Is now Daleman all over the back of John Cook then, so heading to Jackie Ickx. Not going to happen here for them. Just having to wait and bide the time. There is still about 16 minutes then to play with. Clock has to try and do this as quickly and as effectively as he can.
Yeah, Cook had absolutely fantastic drive coming out of the final chicane, which just extended his lead all on Bart Daleman all the way down the pit straight, as Bart Daleman has to look to make that gap, close that gap up all over again. So he runs a little bit wide there during turn 2. No harm done just yet, just a little bit of time lost. But remember, here's Dion Phillips right behind him, closing fast.
Yeah, Dion Phillips then looking to try and close in. Also keep an eye on the battle for second as well. There's now a car in between Craig Parks and Ben Haxton. That is Simon Jackson, teammate, of course, to Craig Parks. So there is a potential then that something could get in the way and not help out the man that it needs to help right now. As you can see, this battle we're continuing to look at here. And, oh, you can see Barry Baird just trying to get himself then out of the way of that one. He just about does manage it in the end in the 006. Oh, he doesn't actually. He's there down in the gravel. Let's get a replay up on screen. I find myself a little bit corrected then. Gets himself on the grass and turn around. Oh, dear me. Can't believe that one's just happened, Connery.
Yep, that was just avoiding the incident-stricken car of Daniel Bailey. Has a major damage to that BMW, and Barry Baird just trying to avoid him, just goes right, which is perhaps the wrong direction to go in with the car on that side of the track, and then it just was completely and utterly terrible for Barry Baird from that time forwards.
Yes, it is, as now we are back live. Bart Daleman then under pressure again. Dion Phillips now looking at this one, thinking there is ways to make a move, ways to try and get himself back in it. It's allowing Cook, though, to get away here in this battle lower down here in the field. And now the gap opens up again, and now you can see the slipstream effect starting to take its toll just a little bit. I do want to point my eye again to Walmsley and Mesham here. This one, no real case of closing right now here, Connery. A 29.4 last lap for Paul Walmsley, a 29.8 for Gareth Mesham, who's dropped 4/10 in the last lap. That gap then has opened up to about 7/10 of a second here, and for Gareth Mesham, mistakes can't afford it as Walmsley is being very, very consistent right now.
No, and you also have to remember that Gareth Mesham had an absolute shocker of a race as he gets a lot of oversteer coming out of the hairpin right there. Remember, he had an absolutely terrible race at Sebring, multiple incidents within the first couple of laps that just put him way down the field. He's done good to put in a recovery drive here. He's up 7 spots already, qualified 17th, currently running in 10th place, looking to track down that one more spot.
Yeah, that one more spot is what is going to be looked at right now. Soren Cruz has lost a position then to the driver of Mike Mason. So Mason has managed to get himself through. Now Cruz looking at the back of it in the 17 machine right now. Last of the cars on the lead lap here. 17th and 18th currently on a track scored at the moment. Looking to try and deal with the battle then into Jackie Ickx, the left. Then the right, and getting back onto the power and trying to go again. Not close enough at the moment here, Connery. Soren Cruz, he will have that problem of having that McLaren underneath him. He will be looking to try and use its abilities as well as he can. He's all over the back of Mason coming to turn number 1, but understeer met with slipstream as well means that car is so squirrely when it comes into the corner. It's a nightmare to handle, surely.
Yeah, you can just watch him really struggle with the cornering right there of that McLaren, as just after this corner he'll have a little bit of rest that allows that McLaren to stretch its legs on this back straight there, but I don't think he'll be close enough to have a move down into decline, and in fact definitely not if he's going, well, unless he has a hopeful move, but nope, he's just going to file in behind, as we may have some more trouble with Barry Baird right there. We'll have to have a look to see what's happened. Yes, further contact with the car of Martin Brandon coming down into the Klein chicane. Only superficial, very minor contact, but I don't think Martin Brandon is very happy.
No, I don't think he is either, and he'll have to get out of the way then of the traffic behind Bram Reiners and Alan McCain. This is also a back. Reiners all over to the back then, and he tries to deal with it, and now he gets checked up then, and we do know that Brandon is not going to yield here. He's going to let himself get dived, and no, he's not. He moves to the inside and has to back out of it now, and allows Reiners a little bit of escapism then. McCain a little bit more tentative then, down onto the brakes, and that, you have to say, means that McCain is maybe not as quick here as Bram Reiners into that final corner. One of the overtaking opportunities, running out of time as well as we are heading into the last 12 minutes here of this race. Last 11 minutes.
28 issues. Daniel Page into the Armco barrier. Again, incident coming out of the Kleiner chicane. Again, one of the mirror instances we already had during this race. But unfortunately, he did hit the Armco barrier. Perhaps a little bit of a slight tap. But how many more drivers are going to do that this race?
And that's a driver from 7th position as well, so it's massive points for Daniel Page that he will be losing out on with that one big moment like that. You can't afford to make a mistake and have a lapse in concentration. Parks also having problems in the 002. That is for 2nd position as things stand. And well, that is a big one. He spun at turn number 1, and that is not what you can afford to do when you are fighting for potentially a championship battle, Connery.
No, you definitely can't afford to do that. As well avoided by both the cars of Andrew Torbeck, who was lapped down, and Benjamin Haxton, who was actually looking for that position on Craig Parks. Again, that incident for Craig Parks, no pressure whatsoever, just a single car incident. He got it loose very early stages of the corner on entry, just carried it all the way through to the apex and spun on the exit.
And now he's allowed Tony Baird back into it. The battle for the podium certainly not over now, as Tony Baird is within 3 seconds then of the driver of Craig Parks. You can see into Boulderberg then will come Parks, into Boulderberg then will come Tony Baird. So there's only 2 cars then in the middle here. Jackson's struggling a little bit here, as there's a little battle going on just ahead here that they're trying to deal with, negotiate here for Tony Baird. And Baird can't afford to be held up by any form of iota right now. You can see he is coming down to the chicane. I don't think they notice here that they need to get out of the way, and now they will get the flags. Now they will get the notice we need to get out of the way. And again, you can see here moving out of the way, looking to try and find it. Baird now dives through the middle. Let's thread the needle, and a very safe threading of the needle there, Connery. And that's a little bit naughty, you could say, from lap traffic, leaving it as long as they did.
Yeah, Van Delden perhaps being the most courteous of the two. Not that the both of them were courteous in any way, holding Tony Baird up. But Van Delden pulled right towards the left-hand side of the track. Actually lost quite a bit of time over Simon Jackson during that little bit of a phase they had right there. But he's close right up to the back of him again right here. So this battle may still be on.
Yeah, Mesham down to the inside. There's contact with the driver and Paul Walmsley as both of them are turned around in turn number 1. Page gets himself through then after his incident earlier on. Let's get a replay then up on screen of that one. Big incident. A desperate little move then from Gareth Mesham it was, who tried to go down the inside. Walmsley, he tried to cover the move, tried to throw the block. In the end, it leaves both of them losing a position and a lot of time.
Oh no, that's not what you'd want if you're Gareth Mesham. Well, it wasn't what you want if you're Paul Walmsley either, but Gareth Mesham, after his terrible race at Sebring, we thought he learned from his mistakes, but apparently not. Contact coming down into turn 1 is going to drop him a couple of positions. It's definitely going to drop him lots and lots of time as well. But yeah, that's really an incident that shouldn't be happening.
No, it shouldn't be, and Dion Phillips had a little look then down the inside of Bart Daleman as well. That battle going on for 11th, 12th and 13th, now just 11th as 12th. As you can see, Dion Phillips lost himself about a second in that instant, now starting to close it down as John Cook starts to slow this little group up, but he's putting the car in all the right places here with just the last few laps to go in this one here, Connery. You have to say, Daleman's been trying for a very, very long time, but again, Daleman can't do it into Boulderberg, and he's just at 2/10 too far away.
No, and it's not the car difference that separates these two drivers. They're both in that Mercedes GT3's car. It's just that John Cook is getting a much better exit, especially these kinds of corners like the final chicane here at Zolder, but he doesn't get quite as good of an exit as he has done previously. Bart Daleman will be in the slipstream. Will he sling it down the inside of turn 1? Nope, he's just going to be very well behaved and just file in right behind. But this could get very, very spicy very, very quickly.
Yes, it could, and that is going to be something that needs to be looked at then maybe and thinking, you know what, do I cut my losses? Do I think then at this late stage that I'll be very happy then with 12th position, making up only 2 positions then? Biggest movers and shakers inside your top 10 currently lie 9th and 10th. Paul Walmsley and Gareth Mesh, and both of them have come together in that last lap that we just saw. So now what you have to say here is that this one is not over and done with for the minor positions. In terms of your race lead though, that one is looking more and more like it is sorted. The gap now opens up to about 10.5 seconds. It's a dominant lead now for Iru Nom right now, and we haven't talked too much, seen too much about him, mainly because he's just been doing his job very slowly, very methodically, very effectively, and actually he's been dominating, and there's not much more you can say than take your hat off and take a bow.
Yeah, not really. You see number 31, a very hopeful look coming down into Boulderberg. Again, desperate to get past that 52 of John Cook, but as you were saying about Iru Nom, Jake, he's doing exactly what he did at Phillip Island for the first round, Daytona for the second round. He's just up front, basically Lewis Hamiltoning it at the front, 10 seconds between himself and second place, and you couldn't really ask for more.
No, you really couldn't right now here as things continue on right now to the inside then. Tried the driver of what was, oh no, Dion Phillips turned around at turn number 1. Has he done it on his own accord? Well, he cut himself down the inside. There wasn't contact. He just looped the rear end around, and Phillips' charge then is pretty much all said and sorted right now. And he's got to be careful here because Barry Baird is doing 29 flats. He's about half a second a lap quicker right now. And with time running out here with about 4 laps, you have to say Dion Phillips might be in a little bit of trouble then if he gets caught with a few minutes remaining here, Connery.
Yep, he may well be vulnerable to Barry Baird as they head their way down into the climb chicane. That first corner incident, well, we've already seen it so far during this race. I wonder how many more there are going to be with hopeful lunges down the inside of that corner. We will have to wait and see. Jason Dilworth just currently splitting this battle between Dion Phillips and Barry Baird right now. He's just in there in his BMW, just splitting the two right now. Barry Baird's probably being Sebastian Vettel and just shouting about blue flags at this moment in time.
Yeah, he certainly is trying to get the traffic out of the way. He wants an issue to attack. He's not had the best of days. He wants to get back net even at 13th position here. He knows that Dion Phillips started 8th and has a turn of pace, and running out of time, he can't afford to wait at all for anybody. He does get past the lap traffic. Look at the gap then as they cross the line to see if there is going to be any form of attack going on. Also look at the battle for 6th position going on. 005 machine. Neil Bamber then is under attack. JPW Ringwood is looking to come back into this one and take 6th position. Bamber's had a storming drive here today, Connery. He stayed very quiet and he's up to 6th position, and this is why he is third in the championship as things stand, because he just gets results. Doesn't do it very flashily. There's not really too much flair about it. It's a very, very clean and effective drive.
Yeah, we haven't really been talking all that much about him during this series, and that is actually for a good reason. He's not really been in too many incidents, and he's just one of those drivers that just puts in those clean and consistent laps, which is why he's so far up the championship standings. But he's currently being chased by the privateer driver of JPW Ringwood, heading down into the final chicane. We are coming into the last couple of laps in your race. Where is Iru Nom? Currently, he's just head over the hill during Boots Corner, so just about halfway through the lap. Maybe 2 or 3 laps left here, Jake.
maybe 2 or 3 more laps in this event. It will be interesting to see the timer as he comes back in. Ringwood trying everything, using all of the curb and then a little bit more as well to try and make sure that he gets it, using all of the road tax available in his vehicle. Heads himself through turn number 3, looks for turn number 4, Lucian Bianchi bend here, and they've got traffic in front of them. That is crucial to note. That is Simon Jackson, who has been a thorn in many people's sides all day long. He will need to get out of the way. Bamber will hope sooner rather than later. Ringwood will hope later rather than soon. You can see trying to close it in, a little bit of a wiggle then from the driver of Neil Bamber here in this fight for 6th positions. They head over Butte right now, looking towards Tullayman then, down on the brakes, getting out of the way, and now nose to tail. There will be 2 laps to go, not 1. That's the crucial factor here. I don't think Iru Nom can even slow down the car and say end the race there. There will be 2 laps to go here, Connery, and Ringwood needs 1 opportunity.
Yeah, he does, as they head down on the brakes, down into Boulderberg corner. GPW Ringwood desperate to gain this 6th position off of Neil Bamber, but as we said, Neil Bamber I don't think will make it very easy for GPW Ringwood to do, as he just stretches the gap out, coming on the exit of Boulderberg, heading down into Kleiner corner. 2 laps to go for these guys.
Yes, and now it's a case of waiting. It's a case of wanting then for Ringwood here, as he's got 2 laps to try and get to the back. The gap is half a second. It can be done in through turn number 1, but it just seems here BMW runs wide as Ringwood, and he holds it off, but he'll lose a little bit of time there in that situation. Couldn't afford to do it. Oh, he's trying too hard. Ringwood starting to struggle then just a little bit. The 041 of Iru Nom will now look around himself.
Oh, sorry, Jake.
I believe he will have another lap to go. Connery?
52, John Cook in the wall. Very heavy damage to the front of the AMG Mercedes. Single car spin on the exit of the final chicane means John Cook is out of this race. Where is Iru Nom? White flag is going to be out in the air this time by.
Certainly white flag then in the air this time here, as 59 minutes and 46 seconds gets itself then up onto the clock. As things stand, Cook has found himself in the wall there. We've just seen the replay of that one. He was running in about 16th position. He was the last car not to be lapped, so Captain Cook has found himself in a bit of a calamity, and that's something that he couldn't have afforded. Let's check back in then on the 54. Has he done anything? No. He's a mile away now from Neil Bamber. He's going to have to resign defeat to that one. So now we can just slow everything down. We can focus then through the Klein chicane to the 041 machine, who has been so dominant. A return to form from the start of the season. One that has wanted, one that has helped with the car choice of the Ford GT. It seems that it suits his driving so well. Little bit of a car in front there to deal with. That is Alan McCain in 15th position that he will need to try and get around, and I think he will get around it before the end of the race. Call an early bath then for Alan McCain. Then as things stand, into Boulderberg will come the driver of Iru Nom. The Estonian is going to take the most amount of wins so far this season, and right now with a 2-week break coming up, it's going to be a case of who can argue against this driver. Even with a 1-week suspension, nobody is stopping Iru Nom. He'll round the final corner and he'll win a Zolder. Fantastic work from Iru Nom, who wins by 10 plus seconds. Brilliant work then from the driver of Team Bushlink Racing. It will be second place for Ben Hackerson, the reigning champion, finding 4 parks. A 1 mistake costs him second place. He'll finish home in third, with Tony Baird in the end will come home in 4th position overall. And looking at things going on, Letva seems to be out of fuel then coming to the line. Connery, it's business as usual for Iru Nom, but the battles we've seen have been fantastic.
And the battles are still raging on. In fact, a battle between the number 43, Dion Phillips, and the number 6, Barry Bed, still raging on. They've still got most of a lap to go as they head through turn 7. There's a lapped car ahead of him. Adam Shipstone has to get out of the way relatively quickly to avoid messing up this battle. Here comes Barry Bed. Oh, as he almost tries around the outside, but no, there was a lapped car in his way. Will he try around the outside of Boulderberg? He's down on the brakes, desperate for the position. Take it from here, Jake.
Yes, he will. Dion Phillips looking at it, and we saw Gareth Mesham then couldn't quite get the move done then on Paul Wolseley in the battle for the top 10. Now it's got to be a long day then for Barry Bed. He's got to try and make a move, but he can't do it. He can't just do it, and he can't have any form of run coming out of the corner. He'll try his best, but he's not quite there. Barry Baird then will have to resign to exactly where he started then. P13 overall for him. The championship leader might still have it, might have to resign from the championship lead after a poor result, and he wanted a little bit more to make some inroads. It wasn't going to happen for him today. Official classified results, let's get them then up on your screen right now. Dominance in the sheer word, the sheer definition that you would find in the encyclopedia. You'd find this man's car, Irunom, then win by 10 seconds over the driver of Ben Hackson, Craig Parks, coming home in third. Tony Baird will come home in fourth position. Craig Williams then, a quiet drive, but a very, very effective drive to get to fifth position. Congratulations to him. Neil Bamber doing a great job, third in the championship, gets himself to sixth. JPW Ringwood couldn't do anything in the end. He'll finish home in seventh, exactly where he started. Daniel Page, one big incident and drops himself down to eighth overall. Paul Walmsley will come home ninth, holding off Gareth Mesham to the flag. Bart Daleman then will come home in 11th with the driver of Dion Phillips and Barry Baird 12th and 13th. Bram Ryan is the last of the cars on the lead lap, only 14 getting there in the end with the likes of Alan McKay, Mike Mason, Soren Cruz having a struggle but getting himself up 14 positions overall, and that is really, really commendable for a drive. John Cook then having himself an instant, finishing one lap down come when all was said and done, and the likes of John Roberts also up 14 positions. He stayed very quiet all day, but he made the moves that he could when he could, did the gentleman John Roberts. And then you look further down, the drivers who struggled all day, the likes of Simon Jackson, Jonathan Beresford not having the best of days, Chris Butterill there struggling, Dilworth, remember him, he had himself that bit of an incident. JJ Rimmer then getting involved with lap traffic, likes struggling over the line, Jan Metzeva, likes of say Ben Coombs having troubles in pit road, getting disqualified, Rick Fowler struggling, Phil Rose struggling, Jason Withrow struggling, and also Ryan Walker struggling. But as far as things are concerned right now, the race is all but scored and complete, but we're not done here, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us, because post-race coverage of this, the Synology GT3 Championship, will be coming to you after these few messages. Don't go away.
So obviously you guys have come from the virtual world to reality. What do you think about a sim racer coming in the real world? What were your expectations coming in?
Coming from iRacing, a computer program basically down here to a real world scenario where you got all these guys with all these years and years and years and years of experience that are also using iRacing as a tool to come out and run against those guys and beat them and finish ahead of them and show them, there's a thing or two you might be missing is fantastic. I mean, that's a skill that I know I don't have, and I can appreciate it because I'm terrible at iRacing.
Glenn was able to come into the team. We did a lot of preseason testing, actually a full season's worth of testing before we even started the season. And he came in, there was a lot of sectors that he was the fastest guy out of our team. And Sparky and I are looking at data, trying to catch up to him through some turns. And of course, some places Sparky will be the fastest or I'll be the fastest, and Glenn is able to learn from what we're doing and vice versa. So it was excellent to see his pace right off of the bat, and speed was never a worry. It's about qualifying well. Qualifying is very difficult, and pretty important in this series. And so is, being able to make effective passes without contact. It's very difficult to pass in these cars, so, it's not easy being here.
I think the level of ultra competitiveness in here, where when normally when you make a pass, you're making a pass with two cars involved. But if we're making a pass in this series, you have to remember there's 5 cars waiting behind you. If you mess up that pass, they're going by you.
Yeah, it's like sharks.
Yeah, you're surrounded by sharks. But no, it's been, I've been very surprised and very pleased with it. And obviously I have the 2 champions I'm sitting between. John actually statistically is the most successful MX-5 Cup driver in the world. He owns every record that you would want, none of the bad records.
Maybe some of them, I don't know.
Maybe some of those. Records. And Sparky's one of the quickest guys in the paddock, and obviously the champion now. So I couldn't have picked a better team to be with Six Sideways. I'm looking at what everybody in the paddock calls gold. I mean, they will pay to look at John and Sparky's data, and I get full access to it. and I get to see where I'm doing well and see where I can improve. And I've been really pleased with my progress.
Welcome to the post-race show. We've just seen Zolder all wrapped up, scored and complete. And well, it was a familiar face at the top of the timing sheet. When everything was said and done, it would be Irunom who would take the win by over 10 seconds when everything was scored complete. Standing by with me now is the driver though who finished in second place overall. His name is Ben Hackerson. Ben, reigning champion, season seems to be back on track. A podium finish, which you really could have done with, and one that you got very well.
Yeah. To be honest, from practice earlier in the week, I was looking to win this one. This is probably my favourite track, and the car, I had a significant car advantage over Aero, but just wasn't to be. He's too good.
Just wasn't to be, but for you, the opening exchanges seemed to be really good. Yourself got yourself towards the back, but you always had Craig Parks there waiting in the wings, and he managed to make the move on you just before the pit stop window. How did that affect your mindset when you came down onto the lane?
I was pushing too hard all through the first stint trying to catch up to Aero, and I made too many mistakes, and I think at that point I just thought I need to calm down now, otherwise I'm going to bin this. So the opposite, probably what you're thinking.
Opposite to probably maybe what I am thinking, but you saw the mistake that happened to Craig Parks, then gets yourself a crucial second place. 2-week break though before we head over to Watkins Glen. A very different circuit in terms of Zolder. You're looking to hit the high speeds more. There's a lot more undulation, or there's similar amounts of undulation you could say, but there's undulation in all parts of the circuit for you. Does Watkins Glen maybe suit your style, say very similar to what Zolder does?
Me and Craig had a good race there last year. I don't know. We'll have to see. Zolder is my preferred track over the two, but we'll have to see. I think it's going to be a close one.
He thinks it's going to be a close one, but Ben Hackerson then will come home in second position for that Synology team, doing a great job. Connery, you're standing by with the driver who came home third in Craig Parks.
Yeah, hello there, Craig. Ended up third place. Did gain one position on your qualifying time on your qualifying position. Sorry, in fourth. You were battling with Benjamin Hackerson right to the death there. Were you confident that you could have made the pass if the opportunity showed itself?
Yeah, I did. I was in P2 for quite a while, and then we were lapping some cars, and I got past one, and it just slightly off-sighted me into the braking for turn one. Went in a bit too hot and lost the back end, and that let Ben back through. And after that, the tyres took a real hammering from the slide. So it was just damage limitations, make sure that Tony couldn't catch me and bring home the third place.
Yeah, you did end up finishing around about 8 seconds behind Benjamin Hackerson right there. But Zolder, is it really a track you like? We just heard Benjamin Hackerson saying that it's one of his favourite tracks in the service. Is that the case for you?
No, completely the opposite. I very rarely get one lap perfect in Zolder. Qualifying my fourth and final lap would have put me in at a 27.4, which would have nipped me into P2. But again, yeah, just too aggressive. I'm just attacking the corners too much, trying to find the time, because I do struggle around there quite a lot.
Yeah. How about side-by-side racing, or in another case, dealing with lap traffic? Since Zolder is a track where some places it can be very, very narrow indeed, and most of the chicanes, there's basically only one line through them. Did you have many issues in that regard?
Yeah, I had a couple, and I can see the lap traffic's, vision, and it must be really difficult for them because they know that we're coming up at a rate of knots into them areas, and it's very difficult for them to get out of the way, and it's also very difficult for us to sort of like choose our line, because we don't necessarily know whether they're going to slow down, lift off, pull over. And after Road America, I tried to pick off the back markers a hell of a lot clever, more precise than what I did then, which obviously cost me a load of points.
Yes, it did, but it's great to see you back on the podium here at Zolder there, Craig. Thank you very much for talking to us. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you.
Yes, standing by with me now will be the driver of Tony Baird here. Tony Baird coming home in 4th position. Tony, a quiet day at the office, you could say. Got yourself well in qualifying there. Got yourself up into P number 3 for you. A qualifying result that you maybe felt that, was deserved on the pace that you had?
I was quite surprised with my qualifying pace, to be honest with you. I hadn't got anywhere close to that in practice. I think I just basically nailed a lap, which was good. And as you say, yeah, the race was quite uneventful, really.
Quite uneventful, but for you, you saw coming towards the end of the race, the spin that happened with Craig Parks, who's just left the commentary booth right now for you. Just a few seconds down the road, pretty much a fingertips reach away, but one which fingertips, maybe you needed a whole hand?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it was just a bit unfortunate, really. I thought I may be able to just try and catch up, but I just felt like the whole race just kept on catching the back markers in the wrong place, I felt, which just kind of cost me quite a bit of time. But we all had to deal with that, so, no excuses, and I'm really happy with 4th.
No excuses, and of course, your brother leads the championship right now as things currently stand. You're looking to go and move on with your own efforts, of course, to Watkins Glen in a few weeks' time. Watkins Glen, you could say, has its own ability. As, say, the draft becomes even more effective than it has done here today. Do you feel that with the car underneath you and the skills that you have at your disposal, that you find yourself in a situation where maybe you can make even more the 3rd place in qualifying and the 4th place in the race?
I'd hope so. I think with Hero and Craig and Ben Hackinson, I think me qualifying around 3, 4, 5th with my brother involved as well, I think is a pretty basically where I am at the moment. But you never know what can happen in a race. You just want to be up there and then just hope for the best.
Hope for the best he will. Tony Baird then coming home in 4th position overall. Quick fire interviews then. Connery Maddox standing by with JPW Ringwood.
You're right.
Hello there, JP, and yes, I am alright. In fact, are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit shaky still. That was a fun last few laps, to be honest. That was quite intense.
We were watching you and your battle between yourself and Neil Bamber. Qualified 7th, finished the race 7th, so you can't really complain about that.
Yeah, it was good fun. Made a position and then lost it right at the end. Well, sorry. Right at the end with a spin. Just couldn't quite overtake him again, but had good fun trying. Just tried a bit too hard.
Yeah, and drivers can sometimes be guilty of trying a little bit too hard. Case in point was Gareth Masham last time out at Sebring. I'm not going to live that one down. If you forward that message on there, GP. But yeah, is Zolder a track you enjoy? I know some drivers love it, some drivers hate it. It's really a Marmite track.
Yeah, it's brilliant fun. Another one that I've had to sort of learn for this week, and no, it really suited me. Qualified a lot higher than I usually do. Usually sort of end up sort of 7th or 8th by the end of the race just because other people falling off, but I sort of earned this one on merit, I guess. Felt I even had pace for maybe 5th. I don't know if I can't remember his name now, guys on 5th. I can't remember if he was. I don't know if he was just holding back a bit, but I seemed to be matching him other than sort of some fun with back markers. But yeah, sort of.
Craig Williams?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I seem to be matching him other than the occasional run-in with back markers, and I'd lose had a couple of running with a couple of people, but yeah, enjoyed it. It was good fun. Really good fun.
Talking of Marmite tracks, though, we head to Watkins Glen, the classic boot next week, so no bus stop chicane, as we're having a little bit of audio issues with JP's mic right there. We're very, very sorry about that one. Yeah, the static's just coming through a little bit, and it's just getting a little bit distracting. But it's going to be Watkins Glen next week. Yes, that's better. But it starts to build up. But Watkins Glen, thoughts?
No idea. Another one I haven't raced on. I keep saying that a lot now. No, I need to get some practice in again for that. No idea. I need to watch some videos and practice. Should be fun.
Yep, and thank you to the work our director Hugo Luis is doing with sorting out the audio issues with GP's mic there. Of course, it's not his fault. Sometimes hardware can be like that. But back to you, Jake.
Yeah, back to me, and well, we're going to have one final driver then in with us today, and it will be the driver who finished home in 19th position, Andy Tober. Andy, we didn't see too much of you at the cameras here today, but we did see some great battling you had with the likes of Mathieu van Delden then coming towards the end of the race for you. A good day at the office in terms of points, in terms of your championship towards the mid-pack.
Yeah, I think so. Real tough towards the end. I was kind of stuck behind Chris and JJ, and yeah, I couldn't get past them, so it just started backing me up a little bit. I made a few little mistakes with the tyres, didn't quite feel particularly good towards the end, so yeah, struggled, but he nearly had me on the line, but luckily I managed to hold out, so yeah, not bad at all.
Not bad at all, and of course you finished the day one lap down, and there has been a level of controversy when it's come to lap, especially in this series, especially with what has come out of Road America and all the backlash that's happened from that. Where do you stand on all of this as a driver, you know, who's maybe not as quick as those at the front, but looking to try and develop and get up to that stage, come what may? Do you feel that maybe sometimes the criticism that's there with backmark traffic is sometimes a little bit undeserved?
Sometimes it's really difficult. Some of the tracks, you know, there's not a lot of space and stuff. And I mean, I'm one of them. I keep looking at my my pit box and stuff and kind of seeing what the relatives are to try and see what the differences are. But it's so difficult, you know. Some of these guys are so fast, and you don't have the time sometimes to quite react, or you know. So it does make it difficult. I think there is a time and a place, but I think it's a bit of a give and take. The top driver's got to kind of bear with some of the guys, and you know, the lesser experienced guys have got to kind of give a bit more space, I think, sometimes.
Sometimes that does have to be the case. Of course, Watkins Glen, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have, or 3 weeks' time even, because we're going to have a 2-week break, as it were. Watkins Glen, difficult circuit, classic boot layout, though, which for some people has helped, some people is a hindrance. Where do you stand on the boot layout?
Watkins is one of my favourite tracks. Love the BM round there, so hopefully it might be a bit of a positive for me. I'm trying to stick in with the BMW rather than changing cars like some of the other guys have, so yeah, it should be good for me.
Should be good for him in a BMW. Their 19th place finish today for Andy Tober. They're making some crucial gains here in terms of his race. He finished up +8 for the day overall, but unfortunately that's all we're going to have time for here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. A big thank you to everyone who has been watching at home, to the man on my left, Connery Maddock, to the man on my right behind the cameras there, Hugo Luis. I've been Jake Sperry, and who can stop Eru Nom after the race that we have just seen at Zolder? I don't think there's anybody right now in the field who really does stand up to what might that he has, though, but Watkins Glen may prove to be quite a different matter. Good night.